morning. This is Mike Davis with Informed Entrepreneur, and this morning we are interviewing Randy Johnson from the Sales VP. And Randy, please tell people a little bit about yourself, if you wouldn't mind, just to start with what we call a 45-second elevator speech. That is, if you were in an elevator and you were going up a couple floors, how would you explain what you do to somebody quickly? Then we'll go into more detail about what it is that you do for your clients.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning. The Sales VP is all about helping companies when their sales is down. You don't need advice, you need results. At the Sales VP, we do the things that other consultants recommend. Consultants, many times, that's all they do is consult. We're builders. We provide a strategy, recommendations, we help you build your sales processes, hire necessary sales resources, write your compensation plans, customize customer relationship management systems to be effective, and we even help you manage your sales team. That's what makes the Sales VP different than a typical sales consultant.
Okay, so I'd appreciate it if you can just elaborate on that a little bit more. What is it that, more about, like, what is it that makes your company special, makes it different than other people that might say that they come in and do business consulting inside of organizations to go after a certain end result that they're not getting currently when they first reach out to you?
Sure, Mike. Business owners at some point will come to the realization that they can't be expert in all disciplines in their company. Very few among us can be an expert in sales, marketing, human resources, operations, IT, all the other disciplines that a business owner has to be concerned with on a day-to-day basis. At the Sales VP, we're experts in sales, period. That's all we do. We let a business owner work on their business instead of working in their business every day. And most business owners know how much sales can consume their time. Simply put, what I do is re-energize the company to grow sales and expand with a clear sales strategy, sales process, and more importantly, what's different with us is we execute. We don't just hand you that 3-ring binder and tell you what you've been doing wrong or what you need to do better. We actually operate it for you. At the Sales VP, we have over 22 years experience at a VP level running local, regional, and national organizations. We essentially bring all those years of experience to bear on your business to help you grow and have a successful exit from your company. Perfect.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about that? There were a couple of interesting things you'd said to me earlier about part of the length of your engagement. I mean, do you become part of the company? Do you stay with them for a really long time? Is this a really long, drawn-out process? Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, great point, Mike, and I appreciate you bringing that up. So we are a fractional head of sales for small companies. We handle companies that are up to roughly about $70 million in sales, but we only do it for a year. The plan is to put together an effective strategy, effective sales processes, qualification criteria, and operate it for you and show you how to do that. We do it for 12 months. At about 9 months, we're going to be looking internally for somebody to mentor, or we're going to be looking or helping you find somebody on the outside that can be mentored and have the entire strategy process and execution plan turned over to them.
Perfect.
So we design it, but we actually prove that it works too.
Right. When we were first talking, when we were first talking before, I found that jumped out at me quite a bit, and I think it's a very important thing. Lots of people have good information, but to actually execute on that good information it does make a big difference, obviously, in someone's bottom line. Yeah. So, can you share with us a book you've read or some advice you've received that has helped you along in your own business development, in your own development?
Yeah, sure. It's funny. I get that question quite a bit, and it always comes down to one person that affected my career quite a bit. Years ago, one of my mentors from Emerson Electric instilled in me that one of the most important parts of selling is establishing trust. And I've never forgotten that coaching, and I mentor others today to basically its importance. Trust is not established by selling. It's established by doing. Doing something of value that helps your prospect or your customer, your employee, and frankly, it goes all the way to your interactions with family.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be trusted, you need to make a contribution to the relationship by being a doer.
Okay.
Great salespeople, great managers do this unselfishly, and they enjoy it by helping others.
Mm-hmm.
People follow doers.
Mm-hmm.
And they buy from people that they trust. And I've never forgotten that. And believe me, it's very, very important today in selling in 2016. If you find yourself selling instead of adding value to the relationship with your prospect, you're probably doing it the old school way, and it's time for change.
That's a very good point. I often tell people when I'm talking about this subject as well, something that I think more and more of us are realizing, that we have more information being thrown at us than ever before in human history, and less attention to devote to it. The amount of messages that we get daily, sales messages as well as everything else, is staggeringly higher than it was even 20 years ago. And that in some ways it reminds me of a century ago, you might have gone down the block to your local butcher, right? And that butcher would get a great reputation because they gave you the freshest cuts of meat, or if there was anything wrong with it, he or she would make it right? And if they didn't, right, the opposite would happen, right? They'd be out of business pretty quickly because word of mouth would be getting around about what they did. I find it interesting with all the technology that people can get lost in the technology and think that somehow changes the rules. But what I hear you're saying is it's the same thing today that it was a century ago, in that if you're doing good by someone, if you're doing well by someone, if you're adding to someone, right, then it's not even a matter of feeling like in that case the butcher wasn't selling you anything. You wanted to go talk to him because he was offering something of value to you. You knew you could trust that he would give you what you needed. And I hear very much what you're talking about being along in those same veins. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you're selling widgets over the internet, mm-hmm. and there's very little need for sales interaction personally, trust becomes your customer service.
Right. That makes
sense. If you want to get repeat sales, you have to deliver stellar customer service, or you lose it to a competitor. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to face-to-face selling, at the end of the day, people buy from people.
Right.
And that's where the trust comes in. And if you're a business-to-business company, and that's the way you're selling, especially if you're selling long sales cycle items, you better find a way to build trust. And I'm not just talking about trust with one individual. I'm talking about trust across the organization and between organizations.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, thank you very much.
Michael, thanks for the opportunity. I enjoyed talking with you.
Thanks. You too. You too.